Imagine a map that should not exist, a document so precise that it aligns continents and coastlines with uncanny accuracy, yet predates modern exploration by centuries. Its existence challenges our understanding of human cognition, perception, and the history of knowledge itself. This is not merely a story about geography or ancient cartography. It is a window into how human societies perceive, record, and transmit complex information under constraints of time, stress, and environment. The map forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. How much do we really know about the past? And how much of our understanding is filtered through collective biases, survival instincts, and the neurological architecture of memory? It is a paradox, a historical anomaly that illuminates the profound adaptability of human perception and the resilience of societal knowledge under extreme circumstances. When we examine it closely, we are not merely studying ink on parchment, but rather the emergent behavior of entire civilizations under cognitive and environmental pressures. A neural network spread across centuries, encoded in paper and thought. The importance of this subject lies not only in the map itself, but in the lens it offers for understanding human cognition and social systems. In psychology, perception is not a passive recording of reality. It is an active construction shaped by prior knowledge, expectations, and environmental constraints. In history, what survives is often a product of selective retention, a process akin to neural pruning in the human brain. Societies like neurons prioritize signals that maintain coherence, suppress signals that threaten stability, and encode critical information redundantly to ensure survival. A map that should not exist becomes, then, a kind of cognitive fossil, revealing not only geographical knowledge but the underlying algorithms of collective human intelligence. Philosophically, it confronts us with questions of epistemology. How do we know what we know? And to what extent does our perception of history reflect reality versus the emergent patterns of collective cognition? The map in question often appears in discussions of pre-modern cartography, showing coastlines, mountain ranges, and river systems with a level of precision that seems impossible for its time. It appears centuries before navigational instruments such as the marine chronometer, or even systematic astronomical mapping were widely used. Scholars have debated its provenance, with theories ranging from lost ancient civilizations possessing advanced knowledge to careful, iterative compilation by medieval scholars who integrated fragmented reports from distant travelers. What fascinates cognitive scientists and historians alike is not merely the map's accuracy, but the human processes that produced it. Its existence suggests that societies are capable of encoding highly complex information collectively, beyond the cognitive capacity of any single individual. In other words, history itself functions as a distributed intelligence system, where knowledge is emergent, adaptive, and surprisingly resilient under stress. When we examine the map through the lens of neurobiology, several patterns emerge that parallel individual cognition. The human brain is adept at constructing mental maps, spatializing abstract information to make sense of complex relationships. It relies on heuristics, pattern recognition, and predictive modeling to navigate uncertainty. Similarly, pre-modern societies were constrained by incomplete information, environmental hazards, and technological limitations. They compensated by creating collective mental models, often formalized through cartographic representations. These maps were not mere reflections of terrain. They were active tools for prediction, planning, and survival. Each line, each contour is a signal in a larger network, a manifestation of collective cognitive processes that encode and transmit knowledge across generations. The precision of the map, therefore, is less a miracle of ancient technology, and more a testament to the emergent intelligence of societies, honed under stress and guided by the necessity of adaptation. History is replete with examples where collective cognition outperformed individual understanding. Consider maritime societies navigating treacherous waters without modern instruments. Sailors relied on observations of celestial bodies, ocean currents, wind patterns, and oral transmission of prior experiences. No single navigator held complete knowledge, but the distributed network of observations across generations produced remarkably accurate maps. This is analogous to neural networks in the brain, where no single neuron understands the entire system. Yet the emergent activity generates coherent thought and behavior. Similarly, the map that should not exist is a signal of collective adaptation, a historical artifact encoding the wisdom, heuristics, and survival strategies of societies operating at the limits of perception. Its very existence challenges the assumption that advanced knowledge requires advanced technology. Sometimes, intelligence emerges from distributed observation, experimentation, and feedback loops embedded in social structures. Moreover, the map provides a profound lesson in the psychology of perception and cognitive biases. Humans are prone to pattern recognition, often seeing coherence where none exists, or conversely, dismissing valid signals as anomalies. When early scholars encountered the map, many dismissed it as a forgery or misinterpretation. Yet closer examination reveals systematic accuracy that transcends mere coincidence. This reflects a broader principle. Societies tend to filter signals based on perceived relevance and threat. Knowledge that supports collective stability is amplified, while knowledge that challenges dominant paradigms is suppressed or ignored. In this sense, the map serves as a mirror for our cognitive limitations, illustrating how even intelligent, educated observers can misread signals due to biases, incomplete frameworks, or misaligned expectations. It reminds us that perception, whether individual or collective, is not objective. It is shaped by prior knowledge, stress, and the need for coherence. Stress, both environmental and social, plays a central role in shaping collective cognition. Historical societies faced constant pressures, resource scarcity, disease, political instability, and environmental change. Stress triggers adaptive responses in neural systems, prioritizing signals critical for survival while downregulating non-essential information. Similarly, societies encode knowledge in ways that optimize survival under uncertainty. The map, emerging in a context of exploration, territorial competition, and limited instruments, represents a solution to informational stress, a synthesized model of the world capable of guiding decision-making under uncertainty. Each coastline, each river, each mountain is a node in a distributed computational system, a signal in the energy network of society, transmitted and refined over decades or centuries. It is a historical demonstration of how stress, far from merely causing chaos, can catalyze the emergence of sophisticated adaptive solutions. Philosophically, the map invites reflection on the limits of knowledge and the architecture of understanding. Just as neurons interact in networks to generate thought, human societies interact in networks to generate history. Signals are transmitted, encoded, amplified, or suppressed, creating patterns that are both emergent and contingent. The map is a crystallization of this process, a product of observation, abstraction, and integration, constrained by the perceptual and technological limits of its creators. Yet it achieves a form of accuracy that seems to transcend those limits, challenging our intuitions about causality and possibility. It illustrates that knowledge is not solely a function of technology or individual genius. It is an emergent property of networks, shaped by constraints, stressors, and collective adaptation. The map becomes, then, a symbol of distributed intelligence, a historical testament to the power of collaboration, iteration, and emergent pattern recognition over centuries. Throughout history, anomalies like this map have often been met with skepticism, disbelief, or outright dismissal. Yet closer scrutiny reveals that these anomalies are not failures but signals, indicators of processes operating at scales or in modalities beyond immediate perception. They invite us to reconsider assumptions about linear progress, technological determinism, and the nature of historical knowledge. The existence of a map that should not exist is a reminder that human cognition, whether at the level of individual brains or societies, is capable of producing outcomes that challenge conventional models. It is a call to embrace complexity, to recognize that adaptation, redundancy, and distributed processing can generate intelligence in ways that are subtle, indirect, and profoundly effective. As we interpret this map, we also confront the interplay between perception and reality. Cognitive neuroscience teaches us that perception is inherently predictive. The brain continuously generates models of the world, comparing them to incoming sensory information. Similarly, societies generate models of their environment, updating them through exploration, experience, and collective memory. The map embodies this principle, translating fragmented observations into coherent spatial representation. It is simultaneously a reflection of reality and a projection of cognitive necessity, a tool to navigate uncertainty and risk. In this sense, the map is both epistemological and practical. It encodes knowledge, manages uncertainty, and structures decision-making across generations, much like a brain encodes patterns to guide adaptive behavior. One of the most fascinating aspects of the map is its ability to reveal hidden continuities and discontinuities in human history. Ancient trade routes, geological features, and hydrological networks are often encoded with precision, suggesting sustained observation and iterative refinement. This implies a collective attention to detail, a cultural infrastructure capable of retaining and transmitting knowledge despite technological limitations. Such continuity is analogous to long-term potentiation in neural systems, where repeated signals strengthen connections and enable durable memory. Societies, through ritual, record-keeping, and social reinforcement, achieve a similar effect. They preserve critical knowledge, sometimes in forms that appear mysterious or inexplicable to later generations. The map, therefore, is not a static artifact, but a dynamic interface between human cognition, social systems, and the material world, an emergent phenomenon shaped by the pressures and constraints of history. The twist, the counterintuitive insight embedded in this story, is that what appears anomalous or inexplicable is often a manifestation of adaptive intelligence. When we perceive the map as should not exist, we are applying linear, reductionist logic to a system that is inherently nonlinear and emergent. The map exists precisely because societies are capable of integrating distributed signals over time, compensating for individual limitations and preserving critical knowledge under stress. Our tendency to view anomalies as errors or paradoxes reflects a mismatch between individual perception and systemic processes. In reality, the map is a testament to the resilience of human intelligence, a historical proof that complexity, iteration, and collective adaptation can produce outcomes that exceed the sum of their parts. What seems impossible is often the product of highly effective, subtle mechanisms operating over scales that exceed immediate comprehension. In examining the map, we also encounter the psychological implications of knowledge and uncertainty. Humans experience cognitive dissonance when confronted with information that violates expectations or established paradigms. The map challenges conventional chronological and technological assumptions, provoking skepticism, fascination, and even awe. This emotional response is not incidental. It reflects the deep entanglement of cognition, emotion, and perception. Societies encode knowledge in ways that manage collective anxiety, distribute risk, and facilitate decision-making under uncertainty. The map, by accurately representing distant or inaccessible geographies, reduces informational stress, guiding exploration and strategic planning. Its existence illustrates that intelligence, whether neural or societal, is fundamentally about adaptation, prediction, and signal integration under constraints rather than mere accumulation of facts. Philosophically, the map also prompts reflection on the nature of reality and the limits of human comprehension. If a society can encode accurate knowledge centuries ahead of technological development, what does this imply about the latent capacities of human cognition? How much of history is visible to us only because it survived, and how much remains hidden, filtered by the mechanisms of memory, perception, and social selection? The map invites humility. It reminds us that intelligence is not confined to individuals, that knowledge can be distributed, adaptive, and resilient, and that apparent anomalies may in fact represent the underlying logic of complex systems. It encourages us to expand our epistemological frameworks, to recognize emergent patterns, and to appreciate the interplay between cognition, culture, and environment in shaping the course of history. Ultimately, the map that should not exist is not a curiosity. It is a lesson. It teaches us about the architecture of human cognition, the adaptability of societies, and the emergent properties of collective intelligence. It illuminates the interplay between perception, stress, and survival, showing how information can be encoded, transmitted, and refined across generations. It demonstrates that knowledge is not merely a product of technological advancement, but a reflection of distributed observation, iterative refinement, and adaptive decision-making. It challenges our assumptions about history, science, and the limits of human potential, revealing that intelligence is as much about networks, redundancy, and resilience as it is about individual insight. As we reflect on this extraordinary map, we are invited to consider our own cognitive and societal structures. How do we perceive reality, encode knowledge, and transmit critical information under uncertainty? How do biases, heuristics, and emergent patterns shape our collective understanding? The map is both artifact and metaphor, a signal from the past illuminating the architecture of human intelligence. It reminds us that history is not merely a sequence of events, but a dynamic adaptive network of knowledge, shaped by perception, necessity, and the iterative processes of survival. It challenges us to think beyond linear causality, to appreciate emergent phenomena, and to recognize the subtle distributed mechanisms through which human societies navigate complexity. Perhaps the most profound insight is that what we perceive as anomalies are often evidence of hidden order, emergent intelligence, and adaptive success. The map that should not exist teaches us to question assumptions, embrace complexity, and recognize the distributed, iterative nature of human knowledge. It is a reminder that intelligence is not confined to the individual, that survival depends on networks, and that even in the absence of advanced technology, human societies are capable of producing outcomes that seem, at first glance, impossible. The map is a testament to the power of adaptation, the resilience of perception, and the emergent wisdom of collective human cognition. In conclusion, this map is more than a geographical curiosity. It is a window into the human mind and society, a signal from the past about the architecture of intelligence. It invites us to reflect on how we perceive, encode, and transmit knowledge, how societies adapt under stress, and how emergent processes generate outcomes that defy conventional explanation. It is a story of resilience, adaptation, and the subtle, powerful dynamics of collective cognition. It challenges our assumptions, expands our understanding, and inspires awe at the capacity of human societies to navigate uncertainty, integrate complex information, and produce knowledge that transcends individual limitations. As you ponder the map, consider this. What other forms of collective intelligence, hidden in plain sight, might be shaping our understanding of the world and guiding human history in ways we have yet to recognize? The map exists not as an anomaly, but as a testament to the enduring power of distributed cognition, emergent intelligence, and the profound adaptability of human societies. If this exploration of history, psychology, and cognition sparked your curiosity, leave a comment sharing your thoughts like the video to support more deep dives into human history, and subscribe to Coastlines for more journeys through the unseen currents that shape our past and present.